Good afternoon, everyone. This is another great day. Welcome. We are live from Mahali Mzuri Conservancy. I am Jackson. My cameraman is Gideon. Welcome to our sofasafari. Welcome to Mahali Mzuri. We just start our evening game drive. It is another greater game drive today. We had a very good time. You see the temperature is very calm today. A little bit windy, but not really much. And we are doing very well. The wildlife are really plenty in numbers. But today we're going to try to show some of the plain animals. We have, recently, a few months ago, we had a big migration of wildebeest. Lucky enough, we had some groups of wildebeest today. They have just arrived, and for the last few months, I've never been to this side of Mahali Mzuri Conservancy, but for the last few weeks, they've been around this particular area. We still have a lot of grass around. When you look around here, we still have a lot of red earth grass, which are the most nutritious grass for these animals. So definitely we're gonna join some herds along. So come with me. So I'm gonna drive a little bit along as we see some of those group of wildebeest. So these are the animals that we call them the lawn mowers. They normally make sure that they feed on the grass, and they make sure that when they start heading back to Serengeti, they will leave nothing in the Mara. So we call them the lawn mowers because they just completely slash down all of the grass within the Mara. So those are some of the numbers, and actually this is one of the rutting season for the wildebeest in the Mara. We call it a rutting season because this is a time they normally mate, or we call it a mating season. Already they're weaning their young ones, and so the males are going around, everyone trying to make sure that they mate with the females, as many as they can. And these are the animals that we call them the free buffet for the lions in the Mara, because there are plenty in numbers, and these are the animals that normally feed most of these predators in the Mara. All right, let me just drive again. We try to get closer as much as possible. You can see some of those numbers there. When Gideon tried to rotate his camera, you will see them right there. So these are the gnu, or you can call them wildebeest. When you come here, actually in the Mara, during this kind of migration time, they make a lot of noise. Every time you can hear them singing, all night, all day. And some of those sounds they make is like it's like people singing a chorus. And then there's some other antelope there, which are the topi, one of the beautiful antelope we have in the Mara. The topi, sometimes we call them blue jeans. And when you look at them, they're having some young ones. There's one behind there, they have a little baby. So they've already actually started having young ones from the month of September. So those little ones are very vulnerable. They can be easily attacked by mostly cheetahs and hyenas. The hyenas are happy whenever they come across those young ones. So most of the time you see these antelopes, they always stay together. because for safety reasons and also the other reasons. They all feed on different levels of grass. So we call the wildebeest, they normally go for the long grass, and then you find the topi, they prefer to go for the short grass. Right, so we're gonna drive along. So wherever you see them, you can see them, they've been covering along this area. So when you look around this particular ground here, there have been still more grass on this particular area. So these animals, they make sure that they feed with all of the grass along here. So that is what they're actually trying to do that. And even you can see them, there's a single male impala there. We call them a bachelor or a lonely bull. So they've been covering along this particular area. This is actually one of the grazing area for them. It's a little bit open up, although you can see it's a bit of a trees along. But normally these antelopes, they prefer to stay in an open area because they try to avoid predators. So the predators tend to be living in the dense bushes or probably along some bushes bordering, some woodland. So these antelopes always try to be up on the open so that they can avoid being eaten by lions or any other predator. Alright, so we're gonna move again. So these are called a white bearded wildebeest because they have a white beard, and at some point we can call them an animal that is built up with different leftovers. You can see they have a beard and they have a tail which look like a horse. At the same time, they have a kind of a horns that look like more like a buffalo. So it is such a great area for them to graze. You can see a bit of a nice sound on the background down there. So most of the time when you see these animals, the way they are peacefully grazing is one of the things that is showing you that there's no predator around this area. Because whenever the predators are there, this animal will be, or these herbivores have to be so vigilant, and you will see definitely them looking around, and they will try to walk away, or they try to run away from that particular area where the predator is. right, so we're gonna drive around. So majority of these animals, whenever you see them, most of them are males. The females are there as well, and some young ones. Some nice hills on the background. Those are Aitong Hills. So most of those young ones have been weaned, and they're trying now to make more babies. So definitely this is a mating, this is where they mate in the Mara, and then mostly they give birth in Serengeti, in the southern part of Serengeti, in a place called Ntiti Plains. Those are the places they give birth. So they make sure that they migrate the young ones, and majority of them actually lose their lives, especially when they're crossing the river. So this is a bit of a resting time for them, feeding, gaining more energy, ready to go. Remember, by the end of this month of October, they start heading back. To Serengeti. They've been around the Mara for the last 3 months. So actually by end of October they start heading back to Serengeti, because after completing feeding all the grass in the Mara, it is actually the time for them to start working back again to Serengeti to seek for the greener pasture. All right, we're gonna drive around again. when you look particularly around this area, there have been a lot of trees along here, but actually elephants have been doing a bit of a damage. You can see that big tree there. That is one of the trees that have been broken down by the elephants. Elephants just feed in a little bit branches of this tree, and actually some of the tree, I think they're not tasty because these are Acacia jaradi. So this is one of the most favorite tree for giraffes and elephants. So I guess some of them are a little bit bitter for these animals. Still see those wildebeest almost everywhere. You can see some small numbers along there. So they're just having such a great time feeding. Trying to gain energy after losing. Traveling, they cover thousands of kilometers, moving all the way from Serengeti. Moving from all the way Serengeti to the Mara. It's such a long distance. And they don't travel in a single line, they don't travel in a line or making a shortcut, but they use a long way because they travel as they feed on grass. Okay, so we're gonna drive along. And the wildebeest lions prefer the march because they are not really smart animals. So they're a bit primitive. And that is why when the lions spot the wildebeest, it's such an easy prey for them because the lion can sit somewhere and wait for them. But these guys, whenever one start running, because they form such a long single file, they don't change their direction. They just keep running. And they don't have that kind of a defensive mechanism like a buffalo. Buffaloes normally defend each other, but the wildebeest, they don't have that. So if one of them is being caught by a lion, the rest will run away. So when you look on the ground, actually, if Gideon can turn the camera down, there's so many droppings of animals around, and these are the things that normally add a lot of manure to the ground. They had a lot of fertilizer. So actually, after the wildebeest migrate, they left behind a lot of droppings or a lot of dungs, and actually, in as such, they make this area to be very nutritious, which add more fertilizer. And actually, after the rain, the grass will grow back again, and then they will be more, much, palatable to the herbivores. All right, so in front of us is a herd of buffaloes. They're not far away from each other, from the wildebeest, but the buffaloes always try to, they tend to be a little bit separated from the gnu, because the gnu has got a lot of disturbance, and the buffaloes always try to have a bit of their private time or private place to stay. So this is a breeding herd. You can see there's a lot of young ones. They have some bulls around this group. Females are there as well. So this is a breeding herd. And these are the animals that has got a very strong kind of a collaboration for defending each other. You will always see them staying together and fight, and actually, in case of anything trying to attack them, all of the colleagues can come back and defend their member. So it's one of the animals that I've normally seen that they have a kind of a strong defensive mechanism in terms of defending each other from lions. Because remember, the lions are the only one that can attack this. The buffaloes are quite bigger, so they're quite free of other smaller predator, like a leopard or a cheetah. So normally it must be a pride of lions, not even a single one, but a pride of lions try to go for this. And actually in the Mara, it's quite rare for the lions to go for the buffalo. So normally they go for the wildebeest, because the wildebeest are much easier for them to hunt than a buffalo. And when you look at their horns, they look so very, very sharp, and they know they know how to use them. So they're very, very defensive. They're very aggressive. Some of this group, they have actually kind of males that are very, very grumpy, and they're very defensive. These are the animals that you have to be very, very careful when we're doing a walking safari, because they're so aggressive. Look, there's one actually doing a bit of a smelling around. Some of the boards are on them. Those are the ox peckers. And when you look around here, the grass is still plenty. We had a lot of rain from last year, and actually even from the beginning of this year as well. And so the herbivores, they had a lot of food. Remember, in some years back, these animals are one of the animals that are much affected by the drought, together with the hippos, because the buffaloes and the hippos, they are typically feed on grass. They don't go for the leaves, so they just feed on grass, and they can be much affected by the droughts, especially when the grass are very scarce. All right, so we're gonna drive again around and see what we can find. The buffaloes look so peaceful. We just want to leave them on their harmony. Their eyesights are not good, but they have a very good sense of smell and hearing. Just doing a bit of a reverse because this is a bit rocky area. Doing a bit of off-road driving around here. Very bumpy. The sky of Africa look beautiful. The scenery is very, very pretty. We'll get a little bit of windy because we are driving on the eastern side. So the wind is going to be a little bit strong. trying to drive on the other side, trying to find for something exciting. There's another big line of wildebeest on the distance. I don't know whether Gideon can catch that. Actually, you can see them the way they're forming that kind of a single file. They're trying to line up and walk away out of the bushes to the open. So they're going through the tree line up to the open area. So that's what we call the single file. They're forming a single file. Right? Some of the impalas there. It's actually a boys club. You can see they're all males. When you look at them, they have all horns. And those are males. Those are male impala. You can see there's no even a single female there. So there's a boys club, or you can call them a bachelor group. And most of these antelopes, they always form herds, and it's just to defend each other in case of any attack. Going through some bushes around here. That is actually a family of hippos. And when you look at the color of the water, it's completely black, and it is because of the droppings on their urines. They stay around this pool all year. When the level of water go down, the water tend to be a little bit more stagnant. And whenever it's more stagnant, it will be a little bit smelly, and it actually smells like a sewage. Remember, these are the animals that they're very, very territorial, especially the males. So this is one male territory. And they have some young ones. And this is one of the most dangerous animals we have in Africa. They kill many people than any other animal. They're purely grazers. So what they normally do, they stay here the whole day because of the sun. The sun is very, very hot and very strong on their skin. So that is the reason why they stay in the water. And then actually around 7ish, that is the time they will walk out and eat grass the whole day. And then very, very early in the morning, around 6 o'clock in the morning, they walk back again to the river. such a very powerful animal. And when you look at their skin, they look quite big, but they can be, I mean, the body is quite big, but they can be fast. They can run very, very fast. There's some little one there playing. And whenever you see they're fighting, when they fight, they bite each other. So there's some young ones there fighting. Just like a little play fight. It's not a serious fight. So the males look much massive, more bigger in size and bigger jaw. But the females are slightly smaller than the male in terms of the body structure. See that opening of the mouth? You can see how big the mouth is. All right, so once again we're getting end of our sofasafari game drive today. So I say once again, welcome to Mahali Mzuri Conservancy. Welcome to Mahali Mzuri. Hoping we're gonna meet next Wednesday or on our next sofasafari. So keep in touch and have a good time. Goodbye.